Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about the inside of the anxious, preoccupied attachment styles world as they go through a breakup. So before I dive in, we're doing our 90-day challenge. Our first cohort reported 96% of people who reported finishing the requirements also reported feeling significantly more secure, which was our highest rated option after completing the 90-day challenge and everything in there. So we're doing it round two. It's an amazing place. We have incredible community members who really show up, really support one another, all kinds of awesome stuff in there, and a money back guarantee if you aren't like the happiest person ever when you dive in and see everything that there is to offer. You can check it out in the description box below if you want to sign up. And let's talk about this topic. So, the anxious, preoccupied person, as they go through a breakup, like one of the first things they feel is it's almost like the band-aid is getting ripped off, but like over and over again. And my heart goes out to anxious, preoccupied individuals when they go through a breakup because like they are really, it hits deep stuff. And part of what they're experiencing when they go through a breakup isn't just like the pain of losing somebody that we love and care for and that relationship transforming into something else, like a friendship or kind of like a strained relationship. Um, but it's also the fact that that very thing, the act of breaking up and not being together, also happens to be the same thing that triggers their deepest wounds as a person. And those deepest wounds being, I am rejected. I am not good enough. I am alone. I am abandoned. These really painful wounds that usually came as a result of exposure to repeated childhood experiences where they experienced some form of this, whether it's just deep emotional abandonment happening all the time or an actual big abandonment that happened with a parent leaving permanently or for months at a time or something like that during childhood. So, what happens when there's a breakup for the anxious is they experience the pain of the breakup combined with all the subconsciously stored pain from their biggest wounds as a person, kind of like coming together and then exploding to the surface. And that's why it's so difficult. And that's also why anxious, preoccupied individuals like inherently know that when they're about to go through a breakup or if there should be a breakup, that this stuff is coming, right? And that's why they work so hard to hang on and work so hard at their relationships and fear loss so much is because they inherently and instinctually know that I'm also feeling all of those things beneath the surface at a subconscious level. And so it's that extra like, I want to avoid that as well. So this is a huge part of the anxious preoccupied, like psyche, makeup, all these different things. And their first phase is, I would say, the first 2 weeks as a general rule. They're in that triggered state. So like phase one for them is like being in a triggered, activated mode. And this is where they'll like doubt things, question things, ruminate a lot about things, fear things about the future, sometimes do whatever they can to kind of strategize about how to get back into the relationship. Maybe not because the relationship is the right relationship for them, but because getting back in the relationship would mean the absence of all this pain and suffering that they're feeling. And so their subconscious keeps looking to that as a subconscious strategy to relieve themselves of the pain and suffering, even if at a conscious level they're like, but it wasn't working. The relationship wasn't working out. And so that will be sort of like the place that they're moving within, that they're playing within that realm. And so it's extremely important for the anxious, preoccupied individual to recognize what's happening and to have context for what's happening, because that will already help to like just create a little bit of distance between yourself and all of those feelings. And stage two is in that like second phase after that first couple of weeks. The anxious, preoccupied will start to sort of accept. But with that acceptance can also come like a little more sadness, a little bit more like grief at the actual loss, because stage one, there's like inherent a little bit of denial and bargaining happening. And it's not that they're necessarily moving through like the exact stages of grief or anything like that, um, but there's that like resistance to really accepting. And then usually a couple weeks in or so, there's a little more acceptance laced with a little more like grief and sadness in the inherent reality of, okay, I'm not going to fantasize about let's try to get back together or what I can do or that it's a possibility, but like, okay, this is really happening. And the best thing that the anxious, preoccupied individual can do in that place is learn to ask for support and love from friends and family. Anxious, preoccupied individuals, what your work is, literally truly your work, is to learn how to have a relationship to yourself, learn how to set your own boundaries, meet some of your own needs, speak up for yourself, take yourself into consideration when making decisions, know your personality needs, figure out your mission and vision and purpose for your life, and then do a whole bunch of reprogramming work around your core wounds so that you're not fearing them all the time and really like locked into them and letting them like run your internal monologue in that internal dialogue we have in relationship to ourselves all the time. Those are all the things you want to do to heal your attachment style, but you won't necessarily be ready to do all that all at once when you're in that grief mode. So reach out to get your needs met through others. And then in stage 3, as you start to actually be in the processing phase, which is our stage 3 for anxious, um, that's the exact stage that you want to start doing some of that inner work and showing up. And it will only be through that inner work and learning to have a healthy relationship to yourself that you will actually allow yourself to be able to have healthy romantic relationships to others. Like, that is such an important part of healing anxious preoccupied attachment style. And even if you get into a relationship with a secure person as an anxious, unless you do that inner work to meet your own needs halfway, to learn who you are, to show up and take yourself into consideration, even if you're with a secure person, that neediness will always still be there in that background, that fear of loss, fear of abandonment, that clinginess, some of those things. And while those aren't like necessarily like bad behaviors, they are things in reality that can drive somebody away to a certain degree, because they're just slightly out of balance from homeostasis, right? And it's like you're over relying on getting your relationship to self from the outside in. And I say that with like the most love and respect to anxious, preoccupied individuals, because it's not your fault. Like, these are wounds from trauma you've experienced, but yet it's still your responsibility, right? And you, as the anxious, preoccupied, who are some of the most loving, generous, thoughtful, charming, like intelligent, just like fun, wonderful people on the planet, deserve to feel like you have a healthy relationship to yourself and that you can take up space and that you can receive love for who you are at your core. Like, that is so important. And so by taking yourself into consideration, learning how to have that relationship to yourself, even if you're with a secure person, you only allow that relationship to build and thrive further. And so it's such profoundly important work for you to be doing. So I hope this makes a lot of sense. Please let me know if you have questions below, if you want to see like more about what you can do next. And please subscribe if you're getting lots of value. And thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video.